Good evening, everyone. I think I might have done it on my own that time. That was strange. Good evening. Welcome to Golden Goal with your final Premier League review before the exciting World Cup. I will introduce you to my guests after, but hit the intro and we'll see you soon.
Kicking way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. And Ross Townsend!
A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends an immaculate.
Trying to find a way through.
Oh, good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you guys are watching. We are back. Feels like ages since I've actually been on a show. I feel like a stranger on my own channel. But I will introduce you to my guests first. So we'll start with back in the producer chair after Austin's valiant job on Friday. Welcome, Matt.
Hello. How is everyone? I'm good, thank you. Sorry, we do have Connor. He just seems to be on mute. I'll just see if this works.
And there's been a few StreamYard glitches, but finally I think I'm...
Connor, is that you?
Yep, that's Connor, yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry,
Right.
George, we ruined an introduction for you there, sorry.
What was that, sorry?
I've ruined an introduction for you.
Ah.
Sorry. No, don't mute yourself.
No
There we
worries.
go. Go on, George.
It's like watching West Ham, isn't it?
Yeah,
Here it
could say that at the moment, I have to say.
is. Connor, back to the
Yep.
show, mate.
What was that? You
Yeah.
cut out.
Welcome to the...
Completely cut out. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, all good,
can
mate.
hear
All
you
good.
now.
Yeah.
No worries.
Welcome to the show. Third time
Thank you.
We
Right,
got
back
there.
up. back this. Hold on. We'll come back to you afterwards. And my good friend Ray, welcome.
Hi, people. Thank you for having me, George. It's been a while since I've been on your pod, so I'm looking forward to this. There's lots to talk about, isn't there? Lots of talking points. So let's do it.
One thing that ain't off of the table since you've been on the show.
That's true. That is very true. It's a nice place to be as well, isn't it?
Archangel Mikel on top of the tree. Then I welcome the living legend, the one, the only. They named him twice, Abdi.
Good evening, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Got quite a bit to talk about tonight.
Well, what's happened?
Not too much. It's been a very uneventful weekend.
We'll get our teeth into that, and we'll come to Mr. Geordie himself, Mr. Smug. Top three, Nick. Top three.
Yes, we are third after in going into the World Cup break. Very happy with this season so far. Hope it carries on.
You're above
War Geordie
Spurs,
Nick might
mate.
be he might be watching European football for the first time in a long time.
2012,
think they'll-
2013 season was the last time we played in Europe.
Wow.
Do you watch the Champions League games while it's on anyway?
No, I can't because it's
Yeah,
BT.
yeah. Oh,
You might if you
I
pennies.
only have Sky and Amazon. I don't have BT.
you might have to invest in BT then.
I think
Just-
is it next season or the season after the highlights are going terrestrial again?
I think so. Yeah,
I wouldn't know because I'll be actually at the game.
you would be.
While we are doing introductions, we have got from John, Merry Christmas from top of the tree, Uh,
It's too early for that. It's too early for that song.
Coach's Corner saying a hi. Lee saying good evening, everyone, and everyone's favourite Goonerette. Well, one of them. Otherwise, Lottie will kill me. G saying evening all.
Thank you for all
Good
the
evening.
comments.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening.
So we'll start after Nick's discussion about BT and football rights, just how we'll start the show. So we'll get into the game for this past weekend, and what a game to start with! Everyone was like, "Yeah," in quoted commas, "It's only Brentford." What happened, Nick?
Man City underestimated Brentford. And Brentford came out. Must admit, Brentford came out very quickly and started extremely brightly. They had a couple of chances, forced the save from Edison, and then they scored. They played well. Yes, Man City leveled, but then following that, Brentford were playing well, and then a goal in 8 minutes of 10 added on to stun Man City. So that was great result for Arsenal. But so Man City will be thinking, what happened there?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll come to you next, Ray. But for me, like I thought, about Ivan Toney, I think they underestimated him. And if there was a certain person who wears a waistcoat watching after his next squad,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had a point to prove, didn't he, Ivan Toney? I do think he should have gone to the World Cup, but unfortunately, I don't pick the England national team. And yeah, he absolutely ran riot, and it's the second time Brentford have humbled a Manchester club this season. So yeah, long may it continue.
yeah, I thought, to be fair, from what I watched on my BT, just clarifying, I thought Ivan Toney could have had a hat trick. What do you think, Abdi?
Could have, and does make a change that they're humbling the Manchester clubs because they'll do that to the London clubs last season. But yeah, Ivan Toney, Ivan Toney was balling out. Point to prove, but I feel like he handled himself with class and dignity the way he done it. He didn't go out after the game and say this is why I should have been picked and this. He just said, I'm here to focus on Brentford. I didn't get picked for the team, so be it. That's all I have to do. I have to just keep playing and focusing on myself rather than focusing on what I can't control. The only things that he can control is his performance. If he doesn't get picked, he doesn't get picked. Sucks on Gareth Southgate. But Ivan Toney doing what he does best, getting the goals and being clinical. I feel like Man City were on the beach a little bit in terms of going to the World Cup. I feel like a lot of their players sort of took their foot off the gas and had one eye on that World Cup last game before the break, and I think a lot of that 11, maybe 10 out of the 11 are going to the World Cup as well. So maybe that was in their thinking, and they just underestimated Brentford in that sense. But fair play to Brentford, getting 3 points and opening up a big opportunity for Arsenal to capitalise on. But yeah, Ivan Toney, we're looking for a striker in January, so call us.
Birdie don't like his Morgan, mate.
We don't either.
Connor, I'll come to you. Obviously,
Every time I mute the microphone, it seems to cut out. That's weird. If you can hear me properly, I will just say my thoughts on Brentford City. Brentford can be a fantastic team when they want to be, and I think that City were probably due a result like that this time. As it's all been covered about the World Cup, etc. It was kind of the way it played out, and fair play to Brentford. I think everything else has kind of been covered so far. Hopefully they get beat in the future by a few other small teams that might teach them that they're not this great club that they all think they are all the time. Because too many wins and you become a bit sort of egotistical as City fans, I think, and it's good sometimes to have a result like that.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a while. I think I said this to Abdi earlier. Attacking wise, they're very like one of the best in the world, but defensively, I wouldn't be worried playing them. Defensively, they're not as strong as they have been. We'll come to Brentford's biggest fan because obviously he loves a bit of the. We'll leave a thing in the tail there. Matt, so because you love Brentford so much, what do you reckon?
I think we're all on the same sort of lines that City just underestimated Brentford's capability. They actually schooled Haaland on how to and teaching the rest of them how to defend against Haaland because he couldn't get a sniff in, and that caused a lot of problems. Although you've still got other players in that team, they ended up with 26 shots in the end. 29 shots. Only 6 of those were on target. So just went to show that Brentford almost had that capability of trying to do what they're best at, and that's get the ball to Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney will get the goals. We've got some messages from Mad Ramblings podcast saying, all right. John is saying, we'll save that for another topic because we do have Abdi on that, and that's talking about another topic. Lee has said fantastic response to Ivan Toney. I think that was another thing as well. I think you asked Ray about that, and that was quite an important thing, is that we do have a lot of good strikers in that England squad, but compare that to, well, that should have been in that squad, but compare that to who we have in there, it's very dull. And I think there are players that we could have picked. I think we'll probably cover this on the Friday show. There is also Colin who says, hello. What's all this? Then up the Gunners, everyone, with a few laughing emojis. And Ange is saying, evening, George and lads.
Hi, Ange.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Two people that thank you. It means so much already. So we'll move on to let's talk about Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, I decided to get that in. So I'll start with you, Abdi. It was kind of I think on paper people would have said, routine, sort of 3-1, but I don't think, like, if I was Nathan Jones, I wouldn't be too disappointed. They showed a bit of fight in that second half.
Yeah, they did. I was obviously we can't watch the games in our own country, which is stupid. So I had to listen to it on the radio. But from what I was hearing, Southampton gave it a very good go. They did cause Liverpool a few problems, but the attacking quality of Liverpool shone through. Darwin Núñez, give him chances and he'll take them, and that's exactly what happened. He took 2. I think he got an assist for the Firmino goal as well. So a very good performance for him. It's only a matter of time before he starts bagging goals. But I just feel Southampton, still early days for Nathan Jones' first game, obviously. So Liverpool way, not the easiest of tests. I know they're not in the best of forms at the moment, but they've still got quality within that team, unfortunately. But yeah, Southampton, good luck to them after the World Cup. I do think Nathan Jones can take them to the right direction. I hope for their sake that he does. Currently 19th though, so it's going to take a big push to get away from that relegation battle.
I'll come to Matt. Was you surprised about Nathan Jones getting the job?
Yes, I was. But just in this match, you could feel that the Southampton fans, even after the game, they felt that he was important. Even in his post-match game, he said it would have been important. I could have come in after the World Cup, but he felt he had a responsibility to test the team, see how it is, because he only had one day with them. And that was the important thing. He knows he's got a good squad. He knows what they're capable of. And I think perhaps I might have underestimated me at that. But from the Saints fans, although they lost, they seemed very happy. Someone's seen the videos. They were chanting his name, and they felt, although they didn't come away with anything, it was a positive result because they're going in the right direction. Maybe under Rafael Hootel, it might have been one of those 5-0 games. But it was important. It was important for Southampton to come away and feeling something. Okay, they didn't get anything, but it felt quite good. Usually, when you go to Anfield, you don't get that many shots on goal. Southampton managed 9, but only 5 of them went on target. That's that's kind of a huge thing for Southampton because usually these are the sort of games they would lose by huge margins, and they managing to keep down the score to 3, I think, was the most important. And also Shea Adams getting on the score sheet, and another Englishman who assisted the goal, James Ward-Prowse, who would have had a point to prove after those results and the news that he wasn't going to the World Cup.
He's up.
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah. Nick, I'll come to you. Obviously, 2 kind of questions to you. Obviously, I was a bit surprised when I was watching Southampton because they had Mohamed Al-Nusi playing as a wing back, which was a bit surprising. And with Liverpool, obviously James Milner come on, and I think it was like a
600th appearance
600.
in the Premier League.
Premier League game.
20 years on.
Yeah, they play for them. Not you have to respect that amount of games at the top level, don't you?
He's played for some dirty clubs, some very dirty clubs.
Leeds, Newcastle, Man City, Liverpool.
Yeah, says it all really.
On loan.
Funny enough, he did play for Villa on loan in 2005-2006.
Yeah, that makes me feel old. Yeah, so Nick, what are your thoughts of the game and Al-Nusi at win back?
That is interesting. Thought Liverpool won the game. They got up and running and good goals. I think that Nunes getting his 2 goals will back his confidence because he struggled early on to acclimatise to Premier League, and also the red card, like second game he played, set him back a bit. But I think he's getting. I think he settles it in now. I was quite surprised with Nathan Jones becoming Southampton manager, but I think the reason they went for him was because he could develop the young players that Southampton have and make them better. Sort of like Luton, building up with like lesser known players and youngsters. So it's couldn't, and he does play free. He was playing free at the back with wing backs at Luton. So I'm not really surprised Al-Nusi was a wing back, but it'd be quite interesting to see how they go after World Cup because they've got a League Cup game the midweek after World Cup final, so be interesting to see what happens with Southampton going forward.
Yeah. I'll come to you next, Ray. Obviously Liverpool have got a couple of wins under their belt now. Do you think after the World Cup they'll get back into their stride and battle for that?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, really, mate. To be honest, isn't it? They needed to win to stay in touch with the pack above, and obviously some other results didn't go their way, so they sort of still adrift. But No, they needed to win that game, and they did. They've got some good players, and they've got a good man. They've got a really good manager. Let's be real. And for whatever reason, I think we could debate it, but it hasn't gone their way this season. In answer to this question, mate, I don't know. It could quite possibly. It could just click for them. But judging on what we've seen so far this season, it has been a bit of a struggle to get them firing. And we'll have to see what their midfield is all about, because to me that's the weakest part of their team, and it just hasn't been functional enough. So I know we mentioned James Milner and his 600 appearance, but again, he's just a sort of utility player for Liverpool. So if Klopp can get them, the likes of Trent and everyone firing, and really work on their weaknesses, then who knows? Because they've got a quality side, but they're just so inconsistent at the moment. And maybe the World Cup's come at a sort of bad time, as you said, because they have just got a few results, and it might have just scuppered them a little bit.
We can hope.
I did say in I believe it was last Monday's show. It was one of the shows recently. Last Monday I believe, that I wouldn't rule Liverpool out of the top four race. I know people want to say, they're done, that's their season done. It's way too early to say this is certain, this is this, that, because no one knows for certain what's going to happen, because things can flip on its head very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We've played,
and remember, Liverpool have played one game less than Tottenham and Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. So some teams have played 15, some teams have played 14, but we're in match week 16. So, but those will be squeezed in somewhere else. So we're not even halfway through the season. And things can flip on its head. People that are in the relegation zone could fly up the table. Who knows? People that aren't in the relegation zone can drop like a stone. Top four could change. Top four could stay the same. Who knows? It's just ever changing. No one, like a week is a long time in football. So yeah, it depends. The World Cup factor doesn't help anyone really, and it'll be interesting to see. As everyone keeps saying, it will be interesting to see how people are affected after the World Cup in terms of tiredness, reinvigoration, or refocus on the league without the World Cup looming over them. But there could also be the factor of burnout. So just have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool are capable of putting a run of games together, aren't they, as well?
Exactly. And teams are capable of dropping a few points here and there in a row as well. So,
what's your thoughts on the Liverpool game, Connor?
The same as most people, really. I think they've been very inconsistent. I think this result was, welcomed for them. It's not a difficult result to get, although I think these days for Liverpool it would have been a difficult result to get. But I think the World Cup's coming, very, very soon. There's not a game until after that. We'll have to see. I mean, they might come back and they might start smashing teams and come up to the top four. I mean, it's the same with Arsenal, isn't it? With them being ahead number one, they may win the league, they might not. Liverpool might get Champions League, they might not. It all depends, not even on how they play, but how other teams play as well. There's massive amounts of factors. You can't judge the league until the end, really. Sometimes it's within a matter of 3 points. But I do think that it was a good result for them, and they've got the best manager they can get. They've got the best squad they can get. No excuses. There's something needs to change. They need to be more consistent.
Is there any comments, Matt?
Yes. So Ange has said Tony won't be coming to the Arsenal. Lee has said that it would have been very close between Tony and Wilson for the England squad. Ange has replied that she would have preferred Wilson. John has said, get Ivan Toney at Arsenal as soon as possible. Lee has mentioned that he remembers James Milner being back at Leeds. Tom has finally joined us. So hello, Tom. Ivan Toney, laughing emoji. I won't repeat that because I'll try and be PG as possible. Oi, oi, Ray, legend, thumbs up.
Yes, Tom.
Colin has said Prowse should have gone to the World Cup instead of Gallagher. You've got Tom with an. I can see United dropping points with United losing Ronaldo in January. We will talk about that later on. Tom,
what did Colin say? Who should have gone instead of Gallagher?
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah. Should have.
And then the last comment is John saying Newcastle United are the team to fear with Willock playing out of his skin.
Yeah. Well, they probably should have Joe Willock instead of Gallagher. But we will move on to. We'll put Connor back on. We'll talk about West Ham versus Leicester. What's your opinions about West Ham, Connor? Moyes at the win.
Well, first of all, shocked is my opinion about West Ham. I thought that should be. I wouldn't say an easy game because none of these games are particularly easy, especially with, Leicester were once a good team, but now with their form, they haven't been. But they have had a couple of good games, so it should have been one we won, and losing 2-0. I do think Moyes is beginning to get in a little bit of trouble. I think you should stick with a manager until they completely show themselves to be a failure, and then you have to do something. And Moyes, I'm afraid, he's got. He was given a fair amount of money, just over north of 100 million or something like that, or just 80 million, something like that, a decent amount of money. He's got a decent squad. There's no excuses to be losing to Leicester. I mean, we lost to Forest in their first game of the season. I mean, now we have to start talking, I think, about Moyes' future. And I think because our next game is Arsenal, which, if we're being realistic, I don't see how we can win that. Our best shot could be maybe a 1-2-0. If he can do that, then he might be, saved a little bit. But into the new year, I don't see, if he keeps doing this, how he can continue as manager. But then who else do we pick is the big question. You can sack a manager, that's all well and good, but if you don't get a better replacement, then there's no point, is there, really? And that might be the issue.
Yeah. Obviously, Ray, I'll come to you about West Ham. For me,
Yeah.
you agree that I just think Moyes has took him, and Moyes does this. He's done it at Everton. He goes as far as he can.
Yeah.
Take him any further.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with West Ham this season that there's a real expectation because of the amount of money they spent. Connor, you'll be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think it was in the region of about 170 odd million.
It was something like that. I did think it might. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was a lot of money for a
lot of money,
wasn't
it?
For our position, yeah.
Yeah,
massive expectation, massive. Which I didn't hold, by the way. I didn't. I don't like to expect with football. You just take the results. But there was a lot of expectation, especially with Skamaka when he got bought.
Yeah, with Skamaka and the season that you had last season with Europa League run,
fantastic.
It does. Yeah, well, it does add expectation now. Because once the fans get that taste of it, they want more, and they want to bring the best players in, and they want to see West Ham really progress. I don't know with Moyes. I think that he's one of those coaches that is a good sort of mid-table Premier League coach, and I mean that with respect. But yeah, whether he's taken West Ham as far as he can, it's it looks like he has. But
personal opinion is he has. Not to interrupt, but I do think he has taken us the furthest he can get us. But I don't know who we get instead. That's the problem. We'd have to try and either pay a manager off, convince them to leave for us, or get someone from the middle of nowhere.
Do you not take Sean Dyche?
Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think of him actually, because he did a very good job at Burnley, and then he didn't in the end. And they, were very ruthless with him.
But he was at Burnley for 10 years, wasn't he?
Well, exactly.
And it's Burnley, so
yeah.
Their sell-by date was well overdue, in my opinion. They were punching above their weight for ages in the Prem. So maybe
it's actually a good manager. Who knows? He was only at Burnley for that long, so we don't actually know where else he would go.
But they used to say the same about David Moyes. Especially when he was at clubs like Everton. He really punched above his weight and, got a team, with low expectations, really sort of competing.
Well,
So
I'll tell you what,
again,
I'd be interested to see what Steve Bruce would have done with a massive transfer budget, I have to say. Because he was always known as a bad manager, but some people think he's the greatest manager to ever live. I don't necessarily agree with them there. But it has
Well-
Simon Jordan particularly, he thinks that he says it in his book was the best manager that will ever live. I don't agree with that. But it would have been interesting.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure Nick's got a good opinion on Steve Bruce, but
Abdi, I'll come to you. Not been a bad 2 weeks, 3 weeks for Leicester, is it? Like a couple of
I'd
wins.
say
like-
a few more weeks further back than that as well. They've only had in the recent memory the 1-0 loss to City, and that was only by De Bruyne brilliance, really. I'm not too sure why people are surprised that West Ham lost to Leicester. Like, I know Leicester had a very poor start to the season, but they have turned their form around. They've been defensively solid again, and they're doing the business going forward. And I did say this last week. I feel like people clamour to see change too quickly with a manager, and what happens is when there's a stormy period, you give the manager a chance to sail through it. If you stick with them, this is sort of what could happen. I know things can change again and Leicester can go back down, but I don't think they will. I think they'll continue where they are.
As long as
But
they lose the next game.
who's that against? You guys?
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting one after the World Cup. But Brendan Rodgers, listen, they gave him a chance to stay and steady the ship, as I mentioned last week. And they're doing. Sorry, I'm losing my words. They gave Brendan Rodgers the chance to sort the ship out, and that's what he's exactly doing. David Moyes, I know you guys are saying he might have taken West Ham as far as they could go. Maybe he has, but where are West Ham meant to go? Because that top table, that top tier of the table is very congested. You got Arsenal there, you got City there, you got Newcastle now getting in there, and once they take a spot, they ain't leaving. United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, so there's 7 teams that are right in front of them, and he's taken West Ham into Europe repeatedly. He took them to the Europa League last year, and then the Conference League this year, and they're still in the Conference League. I think they're in the round 16. So
Round
he can take
16,
them
yeah,
back into
because they won the
he
group.
can take them. Yeah, he can take them back into the Europa League next season, as long as he wins it. And from what I've seen, there aren't that many good teams in the Conference League this season. I think Lazio is the only real threat that I've seen. But to be fair, I haven't been paying attention too much to the Conference League. So yeah, just chill with David Moyes for now. I don't know who West Ham would get. There isn't really anyone out there that's sticking out and shouting. Maybe you do need a manager to take West Ham to another level in terms of, because they have got good talent in there, and they have bought good players in the summer, and they had a very good transfer window. Maybe there does need to be a change to bring in someone to get more of that out of that team. But David Moyes is a steady pair of hands for West Ham, and he took them from a relegation battle and almost going down to Europa League semi-final. So yeah, I think he's earned at least to have more time really than people try and push him out, I guess.
Can I just say one thing before you move on? Because
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've actually, funnily enough, been convinced after that long speech of what you're saying, because I do believe actually that maybe we should give more. I think the big thing would be if we got knocked out of the Conference League and it was a disaster, because there's no reason why we shouldn't win that. And I get what you mean about the Premier League, because there are some top class teams in there. But the Conference League, you're talking about teams you've never heard of, really.
Yeah.
There'll be a couple of Europa League, if my understanding of the rules is right, there'll be a couple of Europa League teams that drop down when they get knocked out of the groups. But I don't see how we could lose that. And if we lose that, then I think he would be in trouble.
Is that the season for you, Connor? Sorry to interrupt you, mate, but is that the season, the Conference League? Obviously, don't go down. Obviously,
yeah.
But
I tended before to ignore the Conference League. I thought it was a distraction for us. But the Premier League is very crowded, and people do forget that every team is buying better and better players, and so did we to an extent. But it's like almost a player inflation sort of thing. We get better players, but then someone else gets better players than us, and we're where we were before. So yes, I think there's no reason why we shouldn't. We scored a few goals with a basically reserve team in the Conference League with our young people. I think it was like 9-10 changes. So there's no reason why if we used our main team that we could either win the Conference League or definitely stay mid-table in the Premier League. That's another thing.
Fair enough.
Well, I'll go to you, Nick. So this is my question, and I've asked other West Ham fans this, and when you've answered, kind of can answer it if you want. So if West Ham if they crash out of the conference and, just about stay up, surely Declan Rice is going to be gone in the summer, isn't he?
Probably he would want to leave. He's not willing to sign a new long-term contract, so probably. But will any club that want to sign him want to pay what West Ham want them to pay? It's a question. I think it's 2 years, 3 years left on his contract.
I know they was offering him like a 28-year contract, weren't they, at one stage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure, but
really, for me, West Ham have got to be careful because I'm not going to get relegated. I don't mean that, or I'm not going to. They might get top 10, but the way some of the performances, they're just negative. But Moyes and for me, like there was games last season they could, like the Man City one, I think it was last season, like when they were 2-0 up, or they were winning at one set and he just sat back and then Man City got back into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you were right. It was 2-0 West Ham against Man City and they finished 2-2.
Just to let you know, on his contract, he has 2 years left, but then they have an option to extend until 2025. So
that's the risk. So, like, if obviously they have that option, I get that. But say next summer, and he's only got a year or two, because I could see, but like, what would you rather get 8? Because you'd easily get 80 million plus with Declan Rice. The way the transfer.
you will, but West Ham don't want to get rid of him, and they want stupid money. So, it's just about who's going to be paying that money to take him. I see him going to Chelsea. I just see him. I don't know. I feel like Chelsea will be the ones to go for him with Kante, his injury issues, and them needing someone new to rejuvenate the midfield.
Yeah, you can see it. Realistically, I can really see him going to Chelsea. There's no one else that see him going. He won't go Liverpool. He won't go Arsenal. He won't go United. So Chelsea for me is only.
He might go United. He might, but I don't know about that one.
Depends, like you say, how much they want, doesn't it? At the end of the day, as well. Matt, is there any comments?
Yeah, so just the one from Ange to say she liked Sean Dyche. She was very old school.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So, cool. We'll move on to the Tottenham Leeds game. Get this one out of the way with. Where the hell do I start with? Words baffle me. I'll start. I know he's laughing because he knows what's coming. I have never ever, and I hate Spurs. And this is the professional host going out. But I found a team that are so bloody jammy, lucky than Tottenham Hotspur. Over to you.
They can't keep getting away with this. That's literally all that goes through my head every time I see them get a jammy win or something or scam the result. You just look back at their past results recently. The Marseille thing, the one in Marseille, the Bournemouth result, and then this one as well. It's just like they play so shit, and pardon my language there, but they play like that, and then afterwards they still get the result in the end. I don't know why this goes through their head where they just like, oh, we have to be a goal behind to actually try and play a game of football. It baffles me, but it feels unsustainable to be performing at that sort of rate where you're picking up results even though you're not playing that well. 4-3 though, cracking result in terms of scoreline and game of the goals flying in. But yeah, Rodrigo Bentancur bailing them out of trouble again. He was the one who got the winner for them against Bournemouth. I think, did he get the winner and the equaliser? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think he might have got the winner.
No, winner.
But
he only
he
scored the winner against Bournemouth. It was
yeah,
Ben
he
Davies
got the winner and equaliser in this game.
in this one.
Yeah, so what a result for him. I think he scored only one goal for Juventus, and then afterwards now he's bringing in the goals for Spurs, which is mad. So yeah, they scammed the result. They shouldn't be 3 points in front of us right now. They should be what a point, maybe even level with us. I don't know, but it is what it is. We'll see how they continue after the World Cup. They did have Kulusevski and Richarlison back for them as well, so they might have some attacking threat going forward again.
Yeah, cool. I'll come to you, Matt, because obviously we're not a little well. Yeah, like Ben, Conte, he's tired. Well, how he's tired?
Are you talking about Bentancur? For some reason,
You're cutting out, Georgie boy.
So apparently, Harry Kane's tired. So
Oh. Does it surprise anyone considering that the stadium's a swimming pool? Let's be honest. Harry Kane's playing pretty much 90 minutes for them in Champions League, in League Cup, in any competition he's in it. He's playing 90 minutes because he's their main threat. They're gonna have a huge problem sooner rather than later, because the whole point of being a footballer, I would assume, unless you have a real affinity for the club that you play for, is that you want to go and reach the highest stages of your career. You want to be playing Champions League football. You want to be going to World Cups. You want to be going to European Championships. You want to be captain of club and country. He's captain his club and country, but he's playing 90 minutes. But it just seems like if he's tired, then maybe the managers are playing him wrong, or maybe they're not rotating as strongly. Okay, Richarlison had an injury. He's still going to a World Cup, though. You've got other players in that squad that were injured that are going to the World Cup, including Son. This Tottenham squad has got more jam than Sainsbury's. The way that they keep on winning, and it reminds me of some of the older teams in the squad. Like when Chelsea went on to win the title under Conte, they had a system change, but it wasn't as dodgy as that. But there were times when Chelsea have been dodgy, but that's beside the point. It just has a huge telling that maybe because of that, England might need more of that backup in the World Cup. So I'll just quickly go over some of the comments, because we've got one from Lee to say Rice is big mates with Mason Mount. Definitely could see him move to Chelsea. And Andrew was saying that Rice was in Chelsea's academy on the West Ham stuff there. But you are right. If he is feeling overplayed, then it's just as well England aren't playing any friendlies, quote unquote, compared to some of the other teams before the World Cup. Because knowing your favourite manager, George, he would probably be playing 90 minutes in them as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing alright recently, haven't they? But I was unlucky in this game.
Sorry, mate. Were you talking to me?
Oh, no,
Cut out
Connor.
there. Oh, Connor.
Connor?
Sorry, what were you saying? It all cut out for a second there.
Internet's playing. So what's your opinion Leeds?
I mean, it's a great scoreline, isn't it? 4-3. It means it was a good game, which obviously, to be fair, I didn't watch the actual game. But Tottenham, they do this, don't they? They really do get the most jammy results, I have to say. And it really annoys me because Leeds, play well. They get 3 goals in. Let's not forget Tottenham is meant to be, a fairly decent team. And Leeds, people portray Leeds as being sort of not so good. And they got 3 goals in, which, or if you take goal difference, that would have been like 1-0. They only won by 1 goal. They should have won by 2 or 3. But they're just not playing well. And I can't remember who it was that said it's completely unsustainable. They're going to come back after the World Cup, and they're either going to be like this, in which case they will lose and sort of start going downhill. It has to happen, or they might come back and be refreshed. But if Harry Kane takes enough goals in the World Cup, which he was known to do in the European thing, then he might not play as well either. So it all depends on a lot of factors. But I think this game again, just jammy, really. No other word to describe it.
We have lost George for the moment, so I'll just take over hosting duties unless Abdi wants to have a quick crack on this one.
Have you given your thoughts on the game yet?
No.
Go on. What were your thoughts on the game?
So I think Leeds were unlucky. I think Leeds should have got something out of this game. The way they played so well, and the fact they 3 goals normally meant you get something out of it, but Tottenham somehow got out of jail again with the 2 Bentancur goals at the end. So they're not playing well, but they're getting results. But I do think when after the restart, they need to play better, because I think they'll come unstuck. Because better teams will probably turn them over.
Just a question then, just in general. Oh, we've got George back. We got you back, George.
Sorry, that's really must be the wife.
No, it's all right. We just had Nick's turn. So who hasn't spoken about this?
Sorry,
game?
my mic cut out there.
Abdi,
Yeah, I haven't just yet.
Go on, Ray.
Yeah, it's funny how we start talking about Tottenham and then George's internet starts to pack up. I think it might be a sign. But yeah, like Tottenham's defence in a way. But yeah, you guys have covered it quite well. I think both teams, their way of playing is unsustainable. How Tottenham need to go 2-0 down to start playing, or a goal down, it sort of baffles me really. And I think when they come against better teams in the Champions League, they could really be punished for it. Same with Leeds, how they defend. If they keep defending like this, they really are going to struggle, because it feels like Leeds, can win every other week, but they're still right in the mix zone, in terms of going down. I think my biggest take though is Antonio Conte, because I don't know whether it's just his Tottenham team, but he doesn't seem to be the manager that was, hyped up and that everyone really champions. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, I just think that there's something not quite right there. And, if he's not winning, he's complaining, his contract might be up, and I'm hearing some Spurs supporters want to get him out. So I don't know. It's strange. It's unsustainable, and let's hope that they drop, because it is quite annoying seeing them picking up points that they don't deserve to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've said for a while that I think Conte's going to go back to Juve. But yeah, is there any comments, Matt?
Yeah, so we do have one again against about a topic we're going to talk about later. But Delboy Gooner TV says, "What's the crack? What's the story, everyone?" With a thumbs up as well.
Story in Balamori.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Exactly. Exactly.
There's been broken by sports news, but we'll come to that after. So we will talk about Chelsea Newcastle now. I won't start with you, Nick, because obviously we'll leave it with you. Abdi, Chelsea. I don't even know. They're crap. I don't know what to say.
They are, and I didn't expect them to really get anything out of that game in terms of the way they've been performing for a while now. To be fair, it just has fallen apart for them in terms of their season. I think they're ninth, eighth, ninth, around there. They're somewhere floating at the bottom of the top half. But yeah, they're quickly slipping away from top four. The Graham Potter project, I know a lot of people already in the Chelsea fan base aren't happy with it. They love Tuchel. They didn't want him gone. They want him back, but I don't see it happening. I don't see him coming back. I just think things were just done and dusted, and that's it. And there's no turning back at this point. Fair play to Newcastle. They've been performing at this level pretty much all season against the big teams. They should have beat City. They should have not lost to Liverpool. They had a good performance away at Old Trafford, and now Chelsea beating them at home. Have you played Spurs yet, Nick?
Yeah, not? We beat them. Beat them.
You beat them, yeah. You beat them on their own patch as well. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, see, literally. Yeah, no. So Newcastle fully cementing themselves as I said last week as well. Newcastle are in the top four contendership race. I know it's still early, and people can say, "Oh," and I will say things can change easily. But with the way Newcastle are performing, they do have a chance. That doesn't mean they'll get it, but they have a chance. It's just, as a lot of things, wait and see what happens after the World Cup. But for now, fair play to Newcastle and fair play to Eddie Howe, the number one English manager.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with any of that. Makes a change, doesn't it? We'll go to you, Connor. What do you think of Newcastle?
I think Newcastle are exactly in the place they want to be right now. Last season they were fighting relegation. This season they're, trying to get Champions League football. So I don't think anyone imagined it would be this quick that, their form would turn around. And, they might not get champion, they might not even get Europa League football considering the forms of the other teams. But I think it is remarkable that their form, and they haven't, they've not sort of done a City. They don't have a City class squad, even though they've got City class owners. That will come. But for now, they've got a fairly average group of players, and they are genuinely playing at their best. So you can't really fault them at the moment. Chelsea, I mean, you could argue that there's also a combination of Chelsea just being terrible, and they really have. And I did say last season, I'm not sure if it was on here or just in general, but I've always said Chelsea would struggle this season because of, imagine being at a club that got mired in so much controversy before, with the whole Roman Abramovich thing. Imagine actually being a player at that club. Now they got rid of Tuchel, got Graham Potter. It's a bit. I think that was a bit of a rash decision, to be honest. I don't think they should have done it, but they've done it, and they're starting to pay for it. I think I don't see them in the top four this season. And obviously, you can't predict the season, but I just can't see how they can turn their form from being like this to be. I mean, even we should have beat them when we weren't in great form. It was just VAR. VAR said, well, the Premier League said themselves that was a mistake. So I don't see a route forward for Chelsea at this rate. I think they'll be a mid-table team if they keep going like this. Which I'm not saying they will keep going like this, but if they do, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, my heart bleeds for them, really. No, it doesn't. Ray, what do you think? Like Miguel Almiron, he's absolute quality, isn't he?
Mate, he's having the season of his life, isn't he? Just play like Grealish. I think that's the message that that should be
Play better.
It's incredible, isn't it? No, I mean, you can tell he's giving absolutely everything, and as I say, I don't know whether this is just going to be like a one season thing or whether this is Miguel Almiron, and he's going to really have a great career in the Prem. But I think it just reinforces that point about Eddie Howe and what he's done at Newcastle since he's been there. Because let's be honest, they have spent a little bit of money, but nowhere near maybe what we were expecting. And to take a team that were in the relegation zone. I mean, I saw the first game of his. I think was at Arsenal away, and they just looked average that day. And to see how they are now, even with the majority of the players that they had back then, I think they've added a few. Like I say, nothing too major. Is absolutely incredible to see. And St James's Park is becoming a real fortress again. Newcastle have been good on the road, don't get me wrong, but going to St James's Park as a opposition supporter is a very daunting task again. So full credit to Newcastle.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Nick, I'll come to you, being a Newcastle fan. 2 questions. How do you feel? Do you think you can get top? If you don't get top 4, is it a failure? And are you worried that Howe might become the new England manager?
No, I'm not. I don't think Eddie Howe will become England manager. I think that he's committed to Newcastle. He's signed the extended deal. So I think he's definitely going to be still manager of Newcastle no matter what after the World Cup. When the season started, I was hoping for my hopes for Newcastle were to do deep cup runs and to finish 6th or 7th, challenge for Europa League, not Champions League. But now, the way we've been playing, I think we can get Champions League, but Man United but there are other clubs that have more experience of challenging for the Champions League. So we could do it, but I think we might fall short. But there's going to be one plus during the World Cup break. But when we come back up from Newcastle, we'll have Alisson. We haven't seen Isak much due to injury. So once he's fully fit, it'll be interesting to see how what sort of team Newcastle will put out, because you will have quite big decisions to make. And also Newcastle have done well with a lot of players that were still there before the takeover. He's just improved them, like Almiron, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, because Joe Willock was struggling before Eddie Howe came manager, and he's playing more like when he was there on loan. So and Fabian Schär as well. He's improved him as well. So, and then obviously Trippier, Botman, Bruno, and Nick Pope have been absolute, and Dan Burn have been absolute great signings for Newcastle.
Yeah, do you know what? On a serious note, I know Newcastle out there, but I really hope Joe Willock does well. Obviously, being ex-Arsenal, I think he deserves it, to be honest. And a quick question, Abdi, do you think Eddie Howe could take the England job?
He could, but I don't think he should. I honestly, at this moment in time, I think the Newcastle job is a bigger job than the England job right now. Like, he can take the England job whenever he wants, pretty much. If it's open, I wouldn't say whenever he wants, but I think the focus right now is on Newcastle. It's a more exciting project, it's a more interesting thing to do. The prospect of taking a club from rock bottom to pretty much challenging maybe for the Premier League one day, that's more appealing. And to have the amount of funds at his disposal to sort of be backed and really mark his name on like a worldwide stage in a European competition like either the Europa League or the Champions League, depending on how they do this season, is more appealing than doing international football. Because international football, you don't get the day-to-day thrill of being a manager. But if the time comes when Eddie Howe takes Newcastle as far as they can go, then maybe he should be in the running for the England manager job. But I don't think right now is the time for him to do it. I don't know who would be the best choice, but that's probably a conversation we can have on Friday.
Yeah, I think you should take the job, mate.
Yeah, I think I should take the job too. If you're listening, anyone from the FA, give me a call. I'm available right now. I'm work searching.
Funny you say that. I've just got a message from the head of the Atlantic. So, well, is there any comments before we move on to?
Just from Lee to say that this season Newcastle remind him and Bertie of the Leicester City winning the league aside.
Yeah.
Imagine Newcastle win the league. Imagine they'd be way ahead schedule, way ahead, and that'll be dangerous.
The season, isn't it, where literally anything goes, and you're going to end up with. You could possibly end up with this one team that you wouldn't expect to get relegated, end up getting relegated, and one team winning the league because the others just mess
Wish
up.
it was City. I wish it was City got relegated.
Imagine that bottom three: Liverpool, Spurs, and City.
Oh, I'm in heaven.
Right.
Finally, Everton fans starts talking funny. Oh, we got Sam in the chat. Hello, Sam. Hey, gang, how are we all?
Sammy boy.
All good, Sam. All good.
We'll move swiftly on to Abdi's excitement of bottom. So, bottom to top.
Who?
Yeah.
Bottom to top?
Wolves last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go on.
Obviously, you're Matt resident, but what did you think of the game?
Who was that? Sorry, you cut out.
Sorry, Ray. What did you think of the game?
I thought it was a very professional performance by us, to be honest. It was a game that going into, we were heavily favourites. And obviously with events going on at the Etihad earlier, with City losing, we knew we were going to be top at Christmas, but, it's can we extend it? We had a little setback when Xhaka had to go off. I think he had something dodgy for lunch, and he had to vacate the pitch. So it took us a little bit of time in the first half to get going again. But yeah, second half, I think we turned the screw, and we kept going at them. They only really had the counter attack as any sort of threat, Wolves, and eventually we got that goal, and then we got a second one not too long after. But yeah, I think we thoroughly deserved to win. I know there was a bit of contention with the potential Wolves penalty shout, but I don't know. I wasn't too convinced at the time.
Oh, you've gone off. You're not on mute. I don't know what's happened there, George. Try again. Just about.
Hold on.
There we go. All good.
It's all good.
I think so. I don't know. Just carry on.
Yeah.
Oh,
can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Matt, what?
What did I think? Well, Ray touched on the Wolves penalty. Well, in the first place, Saliba shouldn't have really been doing that sort of challenge in the penalty area, but it happens. I'm not going to just be disgruntled for it. Gabriel, actually, funny enough, I think it was Saliba who gave away the ball for Wolves' chance, and it was Gabriel who came in and made a last-ditch block to even get the ball to here for a corner. So hats off to Gabriel because he had a good. He's sort of readjusting himself back into the Premier League again, but it does happen. It's good to see that he's getting better with these sorts of things. He's got a point to prove as well with not being. I don't know if he's now in the Brazil squad because apparently there was a mix-up with him actually meant to be in there. But Odegaard was scoring, and he always brings the goods when we need him. I think I've seen messages as well that have said about the fact that for the first goal, Odegaard was first in, but it was Saka behind him as well. So if there was someone, Odegaard wasn't there, Saka was in to tap it in. That would have been important. Last season, no one would have been on the end of that. It would have just gone across the box, and no one would have got it. It was just go back to the offside thing. There was 2 offsides in the build up before. So, but we got 3 points. That's the important thing, and it was fantastic to see. It's games like this where you go up against a pretty rocky side in Wolves, and you need to come away with something. You come away with 2 goals, and you're happy. You don't really care. You're now top of the league till Christmas, Boxing Day even. So I think everyone's happy. Just got a few more comments just before we go on to someone else. So Sam has said, did we all see Arteta saying the team was watching, I believe that's the City game on the coach. You've got to love it. Leanne has said, hello, sorry I'm late. Dinner date overran. And Lee has also said, was doing a watch along, the offside flag was up anyway. And Lee's also then said 100% right from me. Me being 100% right. You sure, Lee?
I think we deserve a bit of luck, though, don't we? Because I think of Wolves away, and I think of that David Luiz red card that was never a red card. I think of Martinelli getting 2 yellow cards in the same instant, in the same phase of play, which I've never seen before, never seen after. So I'll be honest, I thought, at half time, I know they were really banging on about it at Sky Sports, but I thought we were maybe a little bit lucky with it. But yeah, listen, I think we deserved our luck and we deserve that win overall.
You got something to say, Abdi?
I do have something to say. What I will say is it was a good performance by Arsenal. They did what they had to do. They had a job. They done their job. They got the 3 points and they got out of there. Captain's performance by Odegaard got 2 goals for the team and took them 5 points clear of City. I thought Wolves, they had chances. If they were more clinical enough, then it would have caused Arsenal a lot more problems in terms of the chances that they squandered. What I will say on the penalty shout, when I saw it, I said it was a penalty, and I stand by that. I think the line's been flagged a little too early. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't think it would have really affected the game that much in terms of the result. I feel like Arsenal deserved the win anyway, as it was. And yeah, well done to the Gooners, top of the league and top on Christmas Day. Will it be the same though at the end of May?
Yeah, of course it will, mate. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'll cut you if I'm not cutting out. Connor, how do you think Locatelli, I think that's how you say it, will do at Wolves?
Locatelli? Lopetegui?
That's the one.
Locatelli's the player.
Sorry, what was the question, George?
How do you think the new manager, Lopetegui, will do at Wolves?
I think it's too early to say. I mean, I wish him luck. I mean, if people can pronounce his name, then that's a start. But I think he's not sort of he's got a bit of a hands full, hasn't he? Because Wolves can be, and they were a decent-ish team. They were never really sort of top 5, but they've always been sort of a deep team that was never an easy game. You don't go into a game with Wolves and think you're going to win 3-4-0. But they are at the bottom. They are struggling. And I think if anyone can turn it around, then good luck to them, because Wolves, they are a fairly small team, and any luck that comes their way, I think they probably deserve it. But they need to up their game a bit. And I think against Arsenal, it was a decent performance for Arsenal. You're still top by 5 points, so there's that part. And I think on Arsenal's side, if they keep performing well, then they'll probably be in a good position to win the league in May. I don't rule that out as a possibility, because they're 5 points clear of City. So even if Arsenal lose a game, they're still 2 points clear of City. And they should just keep going from there.
They do have to play City twice, so
Yeah,
those are the 2 games.
That is very true. We haven't seen Arsenal play City yet. That will be a very interesting first game.
I'm a little disappointed that the game never happened in October when it was supposed to. Not because of wanting Arsenal or City to lose, because one of them will, or one of them will drop points, but more the fact that I feel like it would have been an entertaining game in terms of the run of form both teams were in. And I feel like if they both can get back to that sort of form, then when that eventual match comes up, it'll be very interesting how that goes. But I would have loved to seen it when it was originally, because I feel like both of them are at the top of their game at that period.
Arsenal fans were disappointed as well, I think.
I was gutted that game never happened, to be honest. I think it would have been a really good test to see whereabouts we actually are in terms of the league table. And to be honest, this is probably the first season now where I'm going into these games and I'm actually not, frightened about playing City. We might lose and whatever, but I feel like we can give them a good game.
We did last year.
We did last year, and it's been a few seasons that I've been able to say that. So it's pretty gutting that we couldn't have played it, but it is what it is.
Is it the fact that their defence is maybe perhaps not as strong as they used to, because they've realised they've got that attitude now where, because they've got Haaland and Haaland's going to score all the goals, or De Bruyne is going to put everything on a plate for them, they don't really bother with the defence as much as they used to do, which means they are conceding goals. You saw it in a couple of games, even against Newcastle, just to name one game off the top of my head. Is that a concern for maybe the City fans? Maybe that might be the difference between us and them to come the end of the season. Do you think? This goes to anyone.
I don't think so. I'm not too concerned about how they are defensively. They can be picked off on the counter attack, and we've seen that with United sides in the past and Spurs sides in the past taking advantage of that very heavily. But I still think City, as much as it pains me, they are the best team in the league, and they do have a lot of top players and who know how to get the job done. Arsenal is their first sort of return to this sort of level, competing at that sort of table in a very long time. And do they have the know-how? Will they be able to continue after the World Cup, or will they break down and not get the job done? Who knows? They might even slip down a little bit and maybe out of the top 4. I don't see that happening. I think they'll firmly cement themselves in top 4 regardless of if they win the title or not. But it's just about that know-how and getting the job done at this moment in time. So we'll see what happens between the two.
You have any thoughts, Nick?
I thought very good, but I thought Arsenal played really well, and they had a lot of chances that they could have arguably taken. They could have had more goals than the 2. It was really good performance, defensively solid, and Arsenal march on. 5 points clear, and they got West Ham, Brighton away, and then Newcastle the next 3 league games after World Cup. So it'll be quite interesting to see. But Arsenal are in a very good position. I think they'll qualify for the Champions League, and I can see them going deep in Europa League as well. Especially when the fact you won your group and you in this last 16 and not having to play the drop out of the Champions League teams.
We leave that to United.
Hey, Barcelona away, we will take it, mate. If we get knocked out, we get knocked out. If we beat them, we beat them. Simple as.
Talking about, we'll move on to the last game. Do you want to talk about the game or?
The game goes first because the game was the most important thing. We'll leave the bullshit to the end.
It's past 9 o'clock, so the watershed is past, so everyone can swear now.
Thank fuck for that.
Hey.
I'll start with you, Abdi. Obviously, floor's yours. United.
Yeah, I feel like first half it was a good performance by United. I feel like we had quite a few chances to sort of pull away from Fulham that we didn't really take. The first one with Eriksen getting his first goal for United, very happy about that. Good team build up in that as well. He had a chance to double it right before the halftime whistle, where he literally just tap it, you would have been fine. But just put it wide. I think Martial had a header as well, where he probably should have buried as well. So probably should have been going into that at least, probably 3-0 up at half time. But second half, it wasn't so great. It felt a little bit more disjointed, and Fulham sort of grew into it. I think Fulham probably were the better side towards that second half. Dan James, of all people, getting the equaliser. I feel like as soon as we took Alanga off and brought McTominay on and put Bruno out wide and McTominay as the 10, that was a bit weird. I feel like we lost a bit of that structure within the team. And we paid for it because pretty much minutes later, Dan James comes on and just blitzes us and scores. But yeah, I didn't. It wasn't looking good. It really wasn't looking good towards the end. Fulham probably looked like the team that was going to score next. The momentum was with them, and if Mitrovic was on the pitch, that probably would have happened. But luckily for us, Mitrovic wasn't, and we brought on our new rising star in Alejandro Garnacho to steal it and win it late on. Literally last kick of the game. I really hope that he stays with United for a very long time and grows into a very top player and keeps his feet on the ground, because we don't need any more drama around United. But yeah, in a night where lots of people should be focusing on the 18-year-old coming on and grabbing his first Premier League goal and getting the winner for United before the World Cup, taken over by dark cloud, and we'll go into that shortly. But overall, I am happy with the 3 points going into the World Cup. We're fifth, 3 points off Spurs with the game in hand over them, so not the worst position. I'd say the first sort of few months of Erik ten Hag's reign there's been some dodgy results in there, but from what I've seen so far, so good so far. So far, so good. That's the way. That's how you say it. Tongue tied up. So far, so good. That's what I have to say. It can be better though, and it will be. It's just about a matter of time.
Yeah. So, Nick, what do you think about Fulham this season? They're up and.
Do you know what? I actually think they performed better than I thought they would this season. I thought they would really struggle towards the bottom of the Premier League, battling relegation. But they've actually brought players that sense that are good enough for the Premier League, and they haven't. They've gone more. They've been more pragmatic with their transfer dealings and not spent silly money this time. And a lot of the players that were in that squad last season are still there. So that's good. And yeah, Mitrovic scoring the goals, but Pereira's done well for them, and they had other performances this season. So I must admit they actually perform way much better than I thought they would.
Cool. So Ray, with obviously United are 3 points behind Spurs. I think they're in like a decent position, aren't they? Battling for top 4. That's
Yeah, I think again, sort of, I think that sort of Spurs result would have frustrated teams like United and Liverpool because they did sort of edge away. But fair play to United, that result looked like it was going to go away from them, and it was a really clever goal in my opinion. Really great movement from the young Garnacho, and he come in and nicked the winner in the last minute. Them last minute goals always feel the best, don't they? So yeah, fair play to them. Although it pains me to say. I think they look all right. Ten Hag looks like he's sort of turned things around a little bit, considering the start they had. And obviously we'll talk about the big talking point in a bit, I imagine. But yeah, United at the moment look in a fairly decent place. They've still got big tests to come. They've still got to have some big fixtures. So we'll come to the Emirates. So we'll see.
Cool. What was your thoughts on the game, Connor?
I think again, United played as expected, all right. Fulham, yeah. I mean, I think they played fairly good. I think Fulham have actually been better than a lot of people expected. I think United, particularly, I think surprised a lot of people because of where they were last season. And Eric Ten Hag really has turned them around. I wouldn't say he's completely fixed them because United were once a good team who were sort of fighting for the title in many ways. I don't think they're going to be doing that anytime soon. So for it to be top 4 and to be fighting for that, I think is where they want to be, or where they need to be rather. Where they want to be is where they need to be are two different things. But they need to be fighting for the top 4. And they're doing that. So if they keep getting results like that, then they will be fine. If they get rid of a certain player, then I think they'd be even better. To be honest,
McTominay.
Leave my Scotty alone. Mate, he's done for as well. He's out January. Just shows as well.
There's a lot of I don't think Harry Maguire should be leaving, but
I heard maybe in the summer. Who knows? We'll see.
But yeah, is there any comments before we get onto the big story, Matt?
Just before that, Lee was talking about the Arsenal game, and when asked this question, he said, I don't think City are as strong as they were. The fact that Jesus and Zinchenko are in Arsenal's ranks for me says I advantage Arsenal when it comes to it.
Yeah. More
I don't know about that one, Chief.
We'll see. But I just think there's more. I just think it's crazy we're having this conversation.
Yeah, it is, and that's full credit to Arsenal in terms of and Arteta, the work he's done. But I do feel like you take out Partey gets an injury, what happens then? Because that's the man in the middle, and if he goes down, El Neni, yeah, but still Partey. I think that's the main one really. We'll see what happens.
Am I right in thinking it's now Arteta's 3rd season? Well, 3 years.
4th, I believe.
4.
Yeah.
So I think 3rd full season because he came in
3 years, but 4th season.
Yeah.
There we go. It worked out. But
Yeah.
it's just to show you, really. Are we? Yeah, I'll shut up and we can talk about the main event, shall we?
Cool. So
Oh boy.
move on to the main event.
Shouldn't have been. We should
No,
be doing the socials right now, and everybody should be tucked up in bed now. But yeah.
We have had
Oh, yeah.
questions on this, so
I'll start with Abdi. So obviously the main event should.
You cut out there, mate.
um,
You cut out there.
Ronaldo.
Yeah. Where to begin? I'm surprised that this is. Am I surprised? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel, mate. He did say back in August that the truth will come out eventually after the transfer window or something. So we're waiting for something around then, but didn't come. And then afterwards, you see Piers Morgan tweets breaking exclusive interview with Cristiano Ronaldo, and loads of quotes coming out, loads of teasers are coming out about it, saying that he feels betrayed by the club, betrayed by the manager, trying to force him out, and some other people in there taking pot shots at Ranić and Wayne Rooney, saying the club hasn't evolved in the year since Alex Ferguson retired, and saying that the big one that stuck out for me is that he doesn't have any respect for Ten Hag, and it's like it's frustrating that he's got to come out and done this, especially in the manner that he's doing it with Piers Morgan and the Sun. So not great. Not what people want to see after a great win as well. Taking attention away from positivity to negativity, and then to the full interview isn't even out yet as well. So that comes out Wednesday and Thursday. So and there's 90 minutes apparently. So there's a lot more coming within that. So
First
I
90
can't
minutes
really
of the season.
probably yeah. So I can't really fully process and digest everything that he's said yet. But from so far, what's going on, it is very bad for the club in terms of the relationship between Ronaldo and Ten Hag. That's gone. That's finished. That's broken. You're not getting that back. He says that he's been disrespected and has no respect, but I haven't seen any evidence that goes with that really in terms of so far this season. Ronaldo's walked out twice from 2 games. And then afterwards, he's been given the captaincy after walking out from the Spurs game, comes back and gets the armband for the Villa game. Yes, he was dropped and punished rightfully so, but Ten Hag quashed that beef and moved on and continued with the rest of the season. But Ronaldo didn't want to play ball. He threw his toys out the pram, and now he's bringing attention to himself. It's frustrating, very frustrating to see a club legend that just basically throw dirt on your club essentially and spit in the face of your manager. A lot of United fans are very angry at the moment, and rightfully so. We all love Ten Hag, and we're all behind our manager. And anyone who goes against Ten Hag is instantly sort of making themselves an enemy, really. Even if it is Cristiano Ronaldo himself. And I feel like a lot of United fans, even before this interview came out, came to the conclusion that time was up for Cristiano and he had to go. And this firmly cements it. And I think this is exactly what he wanted. He wanted to put the club in this position where there isn't a choice, and he has to go. So he's going to get his wish. He'll most likely be gone in January. I don't see any way back for him. Where does he go? I have no idea. I don't know who would take him at this point. But yeah, it could be a blessing in disguise for United at the end of the day, because we're going to need to bring in someone in January to replace him now. So yeah. I don't know too much to say. I do feel he says he feels betrayed by the club. I say I feel betrayed by you, Cristiano. So we'll see what he says in the full interview. But he's come out with a few more quotes tonight. That's been dropping that I've come across and seen. I think he was saying that he feels disrespected and hurt that the club didn't believe him with a family issue with preseason, even though the club repeatedly said Ten Hag repeatedly said he had family issues when he was asked questions about Cristiano, and he was also saying that he felt like he was being pushed out of the club. But once again, all I've seen is Cristiano trying to push himself out of the club, not being pushed outside the club. Ten Hag has said repeatedly in the press he's part of the plan. He wants him there. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. But yeah, what I will say, the only thing, if there was a family issue with his 3-month-old baby and being in hospital and people didn't believe him, I will say I do understand on that side of things where he's coming from, because remember he did lose the 3-month-old is part of twins, and he did lose one of his child tragically, unfortunately, as well. So I do understand from that aspect why he wasn't on the preseason tour. But yeah, the manner he's going out, he's setting fire to everything and letting the whole place burn down, essentially. Yeah. If there's anything I have to say more, I'll add in bits and bobs. But yes.
Abdi, you've already answered one of the questions in there, so brilliant. Thank you. Sorry, George.
What was the one question?
It was it wasn't really a question. It was more of a statement. But you mentioned about Lee's just said that the Ronaldo story is getting very dark. Allegations that United doubted his daughter.
Yeah.
Saw during pre-season with the eyes emoji, but you answered that brilliantly. So sorry, George, go on.
So I completely agree with all of that. But my only trying to play devil's advocate is, do you think he could be? I'll ask this to people can chip in as well. Do you think he might be actually trying to call out how bad your club's actually run from the top to the...
No, I don't think so, because if he really felt like that, he could have done that last season when he was banging in the goals and we were in a worse position than where we were. It's only when he's not performing well that he does this, really.
I hear that.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine when he's scoring the goals and he's doing that. That's all that matters. But when he's not scoring the goals and that you're seeing us winning without him, then that's not okay for him.
Yeah. No, I hear that. And I think, well, everything off the pitch, all the personal stuff, the comments towards the manager and Wayne Rooney, that was weird. Ralph Rangnick, that was weird.
It's disrespectful to him as well.
It's disrespectful, yeah. But, when he's talking about how, the facilities are how they used to be when he first joined and all of this sort of stuff, I hear from United fans anyway. So
it's true, it is true.
So when he's calling it out, kind of what George is saying there, is that not some sort of positive from it? That he's trying to.
I feel like any good thing that he's saying from that is already negated by the disrespect he's shown towards Ten Hag, and I feel like whatever he says in terms of calling out the board, the facilities, and all this stuff, it's sort of trying to sort of make him, I guess, the victim, because he doesn't really need to. If he said that and just called out the board and said all this without saying anything about Ten Hag, I feel like a lot of United fans would be like, yes, well done, do that, that's fine. But as soon as he brought in the manager and disrespected him, it's where he's crossed the line. And when was this interview recorded? Because United have been playing 2 games in the last week or so, and he's been off with the presumably people said he's ill. So didn't look ill in those videos. I don't know when it was the interview was done, but if it was done while United were playing and he could have been there to help out the team, then yeah, that's not a good look either. So yeah.
I mean, I've got a question, Abdi.
Go on.
Why? So you said about he should have done it when he was scoring goals and whatnot for you last season. Why was he not allowed to leave in the summer then? If he was unhappy?
I feel like it was for a multitude of reasons. I feel like within the club there are certain people that want to keep the Cristiano brand, i.e. the Glazers, because it brings in money. But I feel like Ten Hag would have been one of those people that says I'll keep him, I'll plan with him, but at the same time, if he goes, and I can move on with the rest of the team. If he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. But then again, who wanted him in the summer? Because there wasn't that many teams clamoring to sign up Cristiano Ronaldo. There was talk of Atletico Madrid, there was talk of Chelsea, there was talk of PSG, but none of them really came to fruition. If he were to go that badly, then it would have happened, but no one took him.
Fair enough.
So we had to just deal with it.
Fair enough. Because you have sort of touched on it. John has asked, George, would you have taken Ronaldo at Arsenal with 2 fire emojis?
I can't even think that's even asked as a question.
I have seen some Arsenal fans saying, "Bring him home. This was what should have happened 20 years ago and stuff." And it's like, come off it. Come off it. You're a much.
Right. They're half right. It should have happened 20 years ago.
So
but
but not then, and just to get everyone's opinion on this. Like, would you have them at your club? Would you have him? So, Connor, would you have Ronaldo at your club if you could afford everything? Afford him?
Not in a million years. I'd rather have anyone else take all the Norwich players or whatever than have Cristiano Ronaldo causing that much chaos and drama at my club. I mean, if you think about it, I've got to go in a minute. By the way, probably once I've finished speaking about this. But when you think about it, Man United, so they wanted him as a brand, and look what they've got. They almost got what they paid for in many ways, because he's just sort of, in proper Ronaldo fashion, it's not what he says necessarily, it's the way he goes about it. If he had a problem with the club, then he could have done it a multitude of different ways. He could have went to the board, he could have went to, I'm sure there's staff there that would have listened. And if that didn't work, then possibly he could have done a press release or something with purely his issues. But it's just a poor me, I'm so hard done by. I'm the world's best player, and they don't play me every week. It is honestly the most ridiculous thing, and for him to do that while still at his club, it is. It's unheard of. I've never heard of that before happening in such a way, and I hope that they do something about it, because that just cannot go on. And after that, I don't see him playing in any games from now. I think they're gonna have to get rid of him in January. Get rid of him for free. Probably do them a favour.
Okay.
Nick?
Sorry, go Nick.
I wouldn't take Ronaldo Newcastle. It's just we've got a United dressing room, and that sort of character, the prima donnas are not needed at Newcastle. Like, it will just disrupt the dressing room. They'll be all united because we're all united. We fight for each other. We play for each other, and Ronaldo would interrupt and disrupt the influence. It's not necessarily needed.
Yeah, that's the same for us, isn't it? Really?
I think it's. Sorry. Jeez. I think it's the same for most clubs, really. It sort of disrupts the harmony, because as much as I love Cristiano as a player, it just takes away from your team a little bit. Yes, he gives you the goals and stuff, but in terms of the actual way that you can play, it's just not the same. He is losing a bit of that pace. He is losing a bit of that. I don't know. He's going down a bit in terms of where he was. He scored 24 goals last season in a rubbish United side. But then again, you look at the way we perform with and without Ronaldo. We're more free flowing. We're more just more of a team, more of a collective. And even before Ronaldo was there, third, second, Europa League semi-finals, and then afterwards it sort of fallen apart when he got there. But I do think there was more issues with last season than just Cristiano Ronaldo. But unfortunately, it's just gotten to that point where he has to go now, and it is sad to see. But yeah,
He's got to go, blood. He's got to go.
he has.
Okay.
But as I said, it could be beneficial for United because without Ronaldo, we have to go out and buy a striker in January. So maybe Cody Gakpo. I think they'll probably go for Cody.
I feel like this is a very similar situation where Aubameyang was at Arsenal last season, where
but Arteta was smart. He done it with the swiftness.
Yeah, but
he done it with the swiftness.
Maybe as you mentioned that because I think Ray mentioned it about Ronaldo being the brand and that being putting names on shirts and things like that for shirt sales, and that kind of helps. But realistically, how many clubs could you say could afford it that are there?
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. Who can afford his wages? I mean, even if he was going to go to, say, a Sport in Lisbon where he started,
they're not in the Champions League anymore, though.
Well, if they're not in the Champions League,
that's who he wants as well.
Fair. But even if they were, or if he just wanted to go and play for them, they couldn't afford him. There's not many teams even in Spain now that could afford him. So realistically, it is only the Premier League and then possibly PSG and Bayern Munich, really that could probably afford his wages because he's on $500,000 a week, isn't he? So, it's crazy.
Yeah. Cool. Do we have any comments before we finish?
No, that is everything, and we have lost Connor as well. So sorry, Connor. I should have asked for your socials before you left.
So that is it now.
I just will say one thing. Full interview. I want to see everything that he says and everything that happens, and then afterwards I'll sort of make up my full judgment on everything. But from the little snippets I've seen, it's not looking good, and it either way, regardless of what he says on Wednesday and Thursday, then he still needs to go. Either way, it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
For that. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming on the show. So thank you, Ray and Nick.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the invite, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work when you come on. Abdi, thanks for everything.
No worries, bro.
Just about got a little bit in there, but yeah, thank you for. Again, it was a great show. It was nice talking to you all. It was especially Ray. It's nice to say hello because it's always nice to have different guests on and get everyone's different opinions, and that's great to hear everyone's opinions.
Likewise, mate.
We will have World Cup coverage or not.
We will be showing the games live. No, I'm kidding. But no, we'll have coverage over the tournament.
Recorder or something.
Yes, we do have a show coming out on Friday. It will be around that 8 o'clock, 8:05 show. Thank you all. Shall we start with our socials? So, Nick, where can people find you? Oh no, he's gone.
He's gone.
He don't want to be found.
Fine.
Ray,
Twitter.
So if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, it's Ray_Cassim, just in the bottom corner there. So come follow me. We'll chat football, and should be a good laugh.
Abdi?
You can follow me on Twitter at aabdullahi26, at AABDULLAHI26.
Matt?
At MattLR28.
and you can find me at Clock and George, and you can find us at Golden Goal as well. So please like, share, subscribe. Just thank you all.
Golden Goal TV.
It comes up when you type Golden Goal. I tried it earlier, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, still.
I'm trying to say it really quick in case.
No, that's right. Go on.
So yeah, thank you all. Thank you all for your support, and keep tuned, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Come on, you Gunners.